That's amazing, honestly, like lost for words. This is just such a good take on what getting yourself, adding artwork to your body. This is what every studio should do. This is insane. What a design as well, man, what a design. Yeah, my name is Jordan Kincaid. I work for a company called Astrac. I'm a commercial director. I oversee reseller channels across Europe and Africa. I live in Bristol with my wife. My mum and sister and brother all live local within the area. I got my first tattoo when I was 16. My mum said if I pass my GCSEs, she'll get me a tattoo. So when I got my first tattoo, I got my name in Arabic down my ribs. I was born in the UAE and my godfather's Arabic. He's part of the founding family of the UAE. And so he translated it for me, and yeah, I got my tattoo up here, and I think I got my second when I was 18, but I've always wanted tattoos, but I find that so many people rush into the decision that goes around tattoos that they often regret them later in life. So I've always tried to, apart from this one being fairly hasty, but I knew I wanted it and I knew I'd never regret it. Everything I want on me, I want to mean something to me, to a point where I can look at it in 30 years time, 40 years time, and it takes me back to that moment, that feeling, that part of me that will never leave me. I don't know, I love art in general, and I think body art's probably the purest form of art to me because it's always so personal. You interpret art, you see a canvas or a painting, and it's someone else's interpretation of an emotion and a feeling, and I think body art it's just the most personal form of art. It's raw, it's true, it means something, and the artwork to me kind of captures who I am, whether it's a nod to my heritage like this sleeve is, or a nod to my father or my grandparents, my chest and my magpies, or all the quotes my dad brought me up in on my side. And this sleeve, similarly, in capturing adjectives my dad used to describe me when I was younger, or in a letter he wrote me for my 30th. And just to give some context, my dad died last June, and it was really, really tough time. And I thought the only way I can really, I don't want to say do him justice, but a permanent reminder. I found it really hard to kind of remember like what he looked like, how he felt, like how he spoke to me, so I was sad. And this just, it gave me that release. It gave me everything I wanted to get out from an emotional perspective on me. And I just think that's so important to me. And I think he'd be really proud of how I've tried to capture my heritage, of how I've tried to capture how he saw me as a human, because how I feel like he saw me, despite me not being perfect in his eyes of his son. I was perfect to him. I was perfect to him in ways, and if I can look at my sleeve and think, there's intelligence there, there's perseverance, there's strength, there's resilience, there's, all of these things I can look down and just think he's telling those things to me, which can get me through a bad day, and it can keep me on the upswing. Yeah, sure. Just he didn't leave. Like my dad didn't have very much. He was innovative in his own right, but probably the most fucking unlucky person I've ever known. He's made and failed businesses not through any fault of his, so he didn't have much to leave us. I think we got literally a few grand each, and everything I had I wanted to kind of put into that as well, and make sure I kind of captured a bit of him, because when someone doesn't have much to leave you, I've got his kilt because he was Scottish, I've got a handful of other things, but ultimately it's a pocket full of change and some investment from my half to make sure that I had him here. And I thought I could either invest and get a Rolex, I like timepiece, and I thought a Rolex I'll have forever. One day I'll give it to my son, and that'll be from my dad. And I will do that one day, and I will probably buy one and have that same sentimental value. But ultimately this, for me, was so much more permanent, to invest that in something that I can never lose. I might not be able to pass down, but will pick me up on those days where it's hard, will make me smile when I'm feeling down, or just make me smile when I'm feeling up, and just think that having that reminder and story on you, it's a picture book, and it can tell so many different things if it's done correctly. And I think what this does is it allows you to tell your story correctly, this new design process. Yeah, you can invest in a physical object and it can give you materialistic satisfaction, but I feel like this is more emotional satisfaction led me to this sleeve. I wanted a patchwork design, but I wanted realism. I love greys, I love blacks and whites, and that Athlete's probably one of the best artists I've ever seen when it comes to capturing that level of detail, especially in the greys and the shading. And mentioned this is what I wanted to do, and he said, I want to do that, it's perfect. Because I feel like these didn't do him any justice. He did these for me because it's so personal, but this really did Atelier the justice he deserves from the quality of artist he is. But ultimately, I've got being done today an Arabian leopard along with the Arabian falcon, which is a nod to my UAE heritage being born out there. I've got Scottish thistle and the white-tailed eagle from Scotland. I've got, and the Irish stag as well, sorry, the Scottish stag. And I've got a lapwing bird from Ireland because I'm Irish, and I've got clover flower, and I'm having a clover added here. And then lastly, to fill the space, I'm having a Scottish, well, an adder snake, a UK adder snake, but they're often found in Scotland, so they're all, well, English lion as well, sorry, before I forget, and an English rose, so all captures my heritage, where my bloodline, where I was born, and all things that have contributed to who I am today. But ultimately, his letter said he finds it quite hard to articulate how proud he is of me, but he said the best way I can describe you is in adjectives of how I see you as a person and how proud you make me. So just a few of the adjectives he used to describe me, maybe he's being a little bit biased because I'm his son, but was strength and power, loyalty, confidence, perseverance, adaptability, strategic, innovative, intelligence, visionary. So I wanted animals that symbolise those words, those adjectives that he felt described me. So I've got like a bull for power and strength, a wolf for the loyalty, peacock for confidence. My dad did an incredible peacock interpretation as well, so it felt quite fitting. Tiger for perseverance, the hummingbird for adaptability, the cheetah for strategic, crow for innovative, an owl for intelligence, and the falcon for visionary. And I just felt that was so in keeping with my heritage sleeve that the descriptive adjective sleeve was just perfect if it engulfed those animals and captured the adjectives that he described me, how he described me, sorry. For my back, I feel like I'm fairly religious. I have a belief in something, and it sounds probably the best way to describe how this feels. I felt like an angel on my back from the design, which was incredible. Someone was definitely watching me and helping me the day my dad died. I just had this feeling something was wrong. He hadn't opened my message. He never doesn't open my message. He lives about an hour away, hour and a half away. And I was sat there having tea, didn't answer my phone. I was like, we're playing golf this day, you come in. And he loved golf, so I was like, there's no way he wouldn't reply to that. Didn't answer, but he has a voicemail on his phone, and it's him talking. He had a company, so it was always him talking. And the voicemail wasn't there, and I thought, that's really weird, he wouldn't have deleted that. He didn't answer again. I just felt something was so wrong. And I had to drive over there, so I drove over there after tea, and I looked through his window, his ground floor flat, and he was laid on the floor. And he, I thought he was dead. Like, he was trapped between his couch and his coffee table, just looking up at the sky. So I was like, oh, I kicked his door and got in the house, and he was alive, but he'd been there for 2 days, had a stroke, wasn't able to get his phone, and he'd been drawing on his chest with pen where the pain was, and he just about got out. Like, he loved me and he was okay, but I just had this feeling something was wrong, and it was. So I managed to get the ambulance to come, and managed to get his sister up from Cornwall, all my family to hospital, and they were there, saw him for an hour, and he died. So something led me to find him in that position where he was just about living, coherent enough to tell me he loved me, and knew he wasn't alone in his final hours. And I felt like someone was leading me there. So I just felt like someone's always got my back, so that's what that means. Sorry, it's really sad. Agreed, and I just think I think if anything, as much as I love these ones, I think that back one, I don't know, I just can't even describe like the feeling. I could have left it another day, and not gone over there, and he would have died there on his own. But the thought of knowing that he knew I was there, and a part of me felt like I saved in that that exit, you know, he deserved better than that. Especially for a new relationship, as much as Atelier is, obviously you look at the design work, you do your research, what arts you're going to use, and initially I came in here and the beautiful thing about No Regrets, it's the suggestion that the initial artist proposed to me was like, no, this won't do you justice, I won't do you justice, and then Atelier was suggested for it, but ultimately around a different design, and they helped me with that initially. But as you said, have you got the artistic mindset to envision what they have in mind, as much as your suggestions can be, you know, black and white, you know, this is exactly what I want, you have to trust what they're designing. And I think the only thing I really struggled with initially was that confidence that I'm going to go in there to get my tattoo today, that's going to be exactly what I want. So this allows peace of mind that, yes, this is the design I want. I know that you say, yeah, we can make some changes, but for someone who's not artistic, or how easy is it to make that level of change or that level of detail change, and is it possible? So this just, yeah, this is perfect. Oh, incredible. The movement as well, just baffling, to be fair, just how well it all works with the body and the movement. But yeah, so cool, man. And it makes me just want to book in again today. Yeah, if every studio had this ability, you wouldn't see many people walking around with something they regretted on them. If they're scared to commit, I would say it's probably not the right design. I'd say that everything I've got on me, I'd never walked in for, oh, am I going to regret this? I thought, I'm going to love this tomorrow, I'm going to love this in 50 years' time, because it's execution and faith in the design and in your decision making, the idea. So if you're skeptical on it, don't get it because it's not the right tattoo for you.